I want to move on from Dark Side of the Ring and talk about the WWE's docuseries, and that is Chapter 3 of Undertaker: The Last Ride. Overall thoughts on this episode, Mr. Huey?
I will admit, and this is something I was texting you earlier, I'm just a little fatigued now, 3 episodes in, of the constant dialogue about Undertaker's like, I don't know if this is my last match or not. Like every match, obviously. So now we're at the point we know what's happening. The narration is covering the last 3 years of Undertaker's career, from Orlando to, I'm guessing the last episode, the 5th episode, is going to be about the Boneyard match with AJ Styles. But it's like every match he's been in since Orlando, is this his last match? Yes or no? The preparation, the psychology, the ego, all that stuff, the mental and physical work of it all. But it's like every conversation, they're like, I don't know if this is gonna be my last match or not. I don't know. I mean, if it's good, then might be happy. But if it's also good, then I can prove I still got more in the tank. Or if it's a bad match, I gotta go out there and prove everyone, all the critics wrong, that I still can do it. And so it's just, I'm getting a little fatigued by it, for me personally. And don't get me wrong, I love all the behind the scene stuff of him, talking to other wrestlers in the log. Like today's episode, we saw of him and Kane in Australia, and Undertaker playing cards with the doctor, the
That
trainer.
was the most like The Last Dance that we've seen so far. Because
Yeah.
if you watch The Last Dance on ESPN, Michael Jordan, competitive in everything that he does, loves to gamble. And there was a lot of behind the scenes footage of him gambling with just security guards, that
Yeah.
worked at the arena and stuff like that. And
when
so
the
to
security
see
guard
Undertaker playing cards like that, I was like, oh, this is sort of similar to that in terms of just the things that you capture when they have a camera around you so often. Was very interesting. I'm sort of the opposite opinion. I really enjoyed this episode. Now, I get what you're saying, and I think there was a level of sadness in this one that is sort of becoming clear, is that, and they talk about it. Triple H talked about the catch-22 of wanting to have that great final moment, but if it's too great, then you feel like you can keep going, and you continue to chase your own tail in a sense. And Michelle McCool talking about the vicious cycle of, coming back, having a good match, having a not-so-good match, and then wanting to redeem himself. I, of course, enjoyed this. This to me was sort of the tale of two cities. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times episode for me, because it focused on my favorite wrestler of all time, Shawn Michaels, and the two epics at WrestleMania 25 and 26 that he and Undertaker had, and so much of their history in their career. And just, again, two of the best wrestling matches of all time. Shawn should have won the second one, but I digress. It was really cool going back and revisiting those, and even revisiting the third and final match between Triple H and Undertaker at WrestleMania. Yes, they had three. You see clips from it in this one. I love how in the storytelling they never mentioned the fact that they had, in fact, in terms of their bell-to-bell best match, probably was at X7. But in the Hell in a Cell match at WrestleMania between Triple H and Undertaker, with Shawn as the referee, I remember a buddy of mine at the time even saying it, and then they revisited this. He's like, "Dude, Shawn is stealing the show in this match, and he's just the referee." And because he did such a good job selling that story.
Turmoil.
And it was great that they all sort of recognized what a special moment they were in together, and the quote unquote end of an era, and that Triple H commissioned those really nice commemoration pieces to be made of that moment, and gave one to Undertaker and Shawn. That was some pretty cool stuff to see. The worst of times was that we had to revisit the Saudi shows, most notably that damn tag team match that they just had to have, it was such a train wreck, and I refuse to recognize it.
Okay, well, no, so this I was also trying to get at was the use of Shawn Michaels in this episode. So, like, this should be called The Last Rides, because he's taking multiple rides, multiple pit stops, and it's one really long last ride as far as all these pit stops along the way. But Shawn Michaels, as far as his use in this episode, it's ultimately that's what Undertaker strives to get out of a wrestling career, as far as the way Shawn was able to perfectly book in or have that storybook ending of a career. And in many ways, that's what Undertaker is striving for.
Yeah, he
As
said he
much,
was envious that he got the John Elway ride
yeah,
off into the sunset.
and that part I enjoy, because that kind of explains this continuous dialogue of like, I don't know if this is my last match or not. Like, if it's good, it's like he is trying to chase what Shawn Michaels is already able to attain. And that's what I'm getting at, is like, I can now see why that repetition was going on throughout the episode, was because of what Shawn Michaels and the respect they had. And it's really interesting. Like, they touch on, 90s era. They were not like on the same page as
Personally, outside of the ring, Shawn was a notorious prick.
yes.
But even Undertaker mentions it. But inside the ring, I mean, he's always been the truth.
Exactly. And then it's just really cool, in the last 20 years, how Shawn was able to improve his life for the better, and how that's really helped their relationship.
Found God. You should try it, people.
Well, and so I'm saying that's really cool. Well, that's cool. They acknowledge that, as far as um, their relationship's actually gotten stronger in this latter part in their lives. And I do respect that. And then, uh, the Australia stuff, Triple H and Undertaker one last time, and then a month later the Saudi stuff. And so here's the thing, and they will not bring it up, obviously, but they say, Undertaker asked Kane if you want to work this program, and they were asking Shawn, and Shawn's like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. None of them are bringing up the fact that a lot of money was involved. Like, they're all acting like they all want to one last time, the four of them work together or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, come on, there was a lot of money involved, because Shawn, they said respect to Shawn for staying retired this whole time.
Not only a lot of money, and I don't know this for a fact, but I venture to guess that that was more than the money, a huge personal favor to Vince McMahon.
Yeah,
they signed this Saudi deal. This is what they want. They want there's certain expectations. Like, would you do this for me as a favor? And I would be interested. I don't know how long it's going to take for that to actually come out, but I would just love to hear. You're right, because I would love to hear the true and unvarnished story of how those Saudi shows came about. It's with, in particular, the Shawn Michaels fake coming out of retirement to wrestle that one match, and Undertaker's involvement. I would love to hear the behind the scenes of what the ask was, and just how much, not pressure in a bad way, but just the look. It would really mean a lot to me, because it would really go a long way to getting this deal done or keeping them happy after this deal, that kind of thing. I would be interested to hear that. And as we're talking about the build to the Saudi show, they played some clips, but the one thing that they didn't show a redux of, a recap of, was the amazing promo between Shawn and Undertaker in the ring. How do you not include that in the documentary? One of the best promos of the last decade between two of the all-time greats, and they recap and re-show some other stuff that was just so underwhelming by comparison. I was sort of stunned. I rewound it to make sure I didn't miss it.
Yeah, all they focus on was, DX in the ring and says,
"Are you ready?" Yeah.
Are you ready? And they're like, "We got 2 words for you." And then they show the backstage filming of Taker and Kane, their response video, and pretty funny outtake of "Go F yourself." Like,
oh yeah, that was great.
I laughed, like, that was good. I was like, "Yeah, okay, that's cool." This shows, they're all jokesters and whatnot. So, it's, and as you said, because like when that match happened, I believe that was only their second Saudi show, if I remember correctly. So it was still in the first year of that deal. So yeah, like as you said, I'm sure Vince is trying to win over them, because it's supposedly a 10-year deal. So I'm trying to set a good example. I know, listen, disclaimer, I know a lot of people have their mixed feelings about WWE working with Saudi Arabia in the first place, but for the purpose of this conversation, it as you said, Vince, I think, was trying to set a good example of the type of entertaining shows that they can deliver for them for that big money. So, and yeah, as you said, maybe it was a favor to him, like the 4 of them going out there. So yeah, it was like, you could tell like they were trying to set the tone of like this great rivalry / friendship between Taker and Shawn. And then, as Triple H said, it was like a bad comedy movie or whatever. It was just everything went wrong in that match.
It just you didn't have a single person in that match that was wrestling a regular schedule, and you had Shawn who performed. Listen, you talk to anybody that watched that match. He was the one carrying the water in that damn match, and he hadn't wrestled in almost 9 years.
Exactly. He saved that match. I mean, obviously Triple H was badly hurt, so I'm sure they played that little clip like, "You all right?" And he says, "No, I tore it."
I tore it. God, the body recognition though to know you know exactly what happened.
But then Shawn, you can tell he's like, look at Triple H, and I'm sure he's like, "Crap, I got to finish this by myself."
So,
and then the mask coming off of Kane and Taker, not performing well. So it was just like, they need the Benny Hill music playing for the highlight. Like, it's just, oh man.
I mean, look, that's why I say it was the worst of times. It was, it is tough for me to watch that stuff. I will never rewatch that, hopefully again. But the one thing I will say going out of this is the theme, and this is sort of my takeaway from this episode. And, I'm sure Undertaker has, plans in mind about what maybe his last match truly will be. But in hearing him talk and in watching this, fantasy booking it, if you can get the buy-in for one more go between two of the greatest gunslingers to lace them up in the wrestling ring, you do Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker Part 3, which was rumored to be maybe what was going to be coming out of this Saudi thing, and they didn't do it.
Yeah.
If Undertaker wants a true opus, a true masterpiece for his last match, perhaps finally at a WrestleMania, I think that's where you got to go. I think this time you flip the script and you have Undertaker being the one to plead with Shawn to come out of retirement, and that where Undertaker wants that so bad that he puts his career on the line. And then so it's almost like returning the favor, and that's how you do it, and that's how you sell the story, and it's very full circle, and I think it would be beautiful. I'm not saying it would be at the level of their matches from 25 or 26, but I think in terms of the guy that can still get the best match out of The Undertaker for what he has left, I still think it's the Heartbreak Kid.
Who should ref it? Triple H? AJ Styles?
I think you just go straight up regular referee. Hell, dust Earl Hebner off. I think you go straight up referee. I don't think you add like the special guest type deal. You might want to put a stip on it just so you can maybe add some toys to it and let them sort of smoke and mirror their limitations. But I think that's the route to go if you really want. And look, I have mixed feelings about that because it means, look, I can easily put that Saudi travesty out of my mind. Never happened. And I still have the bittersweet but the absolute masterpiece from WrestleMania 26 is Shawn's final match. You ring that bell and you put him in the ring at WrestleMania again, that becomes a new memory. So that's a risk involved there. But it just depends on if you think it's worth taking.
Mr. WrestleMania versus Mr. WrestleMania. Who gets the real title?
Well, it's clearly Shawn. As I said when we were texting, there's a reason why Shawn's Mr. WrestleMania. The guy, as he said so eloquently on an episode of Raw, I believe in '97, the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels is the icon that can still go. And I stand by that. And I stand by Shawn Michaels.